The silence of a prison cell can be deafening, but for some, it's a prelude to a final, unbearable noise, a scream trapped within, unheard by the world. In the quiet of the night, in August of 1988, a brutal act of violence shattered a family, extinguishing 3 lives in a single, horrific act. Angela Clay, her vibrant spirit silenced forever. Her daughters, Latoya, just 9, and little Lakeisha, barely 6, ripped from their childhood dreams. The man responsible, Byron Black, a name now synonymous with a tragedy that would span decades, a life that would become a complex tapestry of crime, law, and an eventual reckoning with mortality. But who was Byron Black? Was he a monster from the start? Or was he a man pushed to the brink by demons unseen? This case is more than just a murder. It's a story that probes the very limits of our legal system, a narrative woven with threads of disputed intellectual disability, and the unsettling reality of medical devices dictating the final moments of a condemned man's life. What truly lies at the heart of this darkness? I'm unveiling the crime, and tonight, we unravel the tragic story of Byron Black. If you're seeking a deeper understanding of justice, consequence, and the enduring impact of true crime, please hit that subscribe button and join us. Let's begin. Before the bloodstains, before the courtroom pronouncements, there was a life. A man named Byron Black existed, perhaps with dreams, perhaps with a past that shaped him in ways we can only speculate. The details of his early life are often overshadowed by the brutality of his actions, but understanding the human beneath the headline is crucial. He was not born a killer. Lives, even those that end in such darkness, are built, not conjured from nothing. In the years leading up to that fateful August night in 1988, Black was already navigating the complex landscape of his life. He was involved with Angela Clay, a woman whose life and the lives of her 2 young daughters, Latoya and Lakeisha, would become tragically intertwined with his. But the narrative of Black's life was already marked by serious legal troubles. He was, in fact, serving time for a previous violent offense, shooting the ex-husband of Angela Clay. This wasn't his first brush with the law. It was a path already paved with aggression and consequences. The system had placed him in a position of conditional freedom, on parole, working outside prison walls. Yet, it was precisely during this period of supervised liberty, a chance ostensibly given for rehabilitation, that the seeds of his ultimate crime were sown. The legal context here is critical. He was already a convicted felon, under strict supervision, and yet, the opportunity to commit such profound violence presented itself. This raises questions about the efficacy of parole, the assessment of risk, and the inherent unpredictability of human behavior. What internal conflicts were brewing? What pressures, what desires, what resentments were festering beneath the surface, leading him to a decision that would irrevocably alter so many lives? The night of August 5th, 1988, a night that would forever be etched in the annals of Tennessee's most tragic crimes. The details, chilling in their simplicity and horrific in their implication. Angela Clay and her 9-year-old daughter, Latoya, were found in their beds. They were shot while they slept, robbed of any chance to defend themselves, any chance to even understand what was happening. And then there was little Lakeisha, 6 years old. She was found on the floor, her small body a testament to a desperate, final attempt to escape the terror that had invaded her home. The scene was one of utter devastation, a tableau of innocence brutally extinguished. The motive, as presented by prosecutors, was rooted in the volatile soil of jealousy and rage, a relationship strained by Black's past actions, by the confines of his conditional freedom, and by what investigators believed was an overwhelming sense of possessiveness. The investigation, the arrest, the trial that followed, it was a grueling process. Black faced charges for the murders of Angela, Latoya, and Lakeisha. The prosecution painted a picture of a man driven by a dark impulse, someone who saw his world collapsing and lashed out with unimaginable violence. The defense, however, began to lay the groundwork for the complex legal battles that would define this case for decades. Questions about Black's mental state, his capacity to understand the gravity of his actions, began to surface. This is where the narrative takes a sharp, morally complex turn. Throughout his time on death row, and particularly as his execution date loomed, a significant legal challenge emerged. The claim of intellectual disability. His legal team argued, with considerable evidence, that Black's cognitive abilities were so impaired that executing him would violate the Eighth Amendment, which prohibits cruel and unusual punishment. This became a central battleground. Was Black capable of the premeditation required for capital murder, or was he a victim of his own diminished capacity? The courts, however, ultimately upheld the death sentence, ruling that his intellectual impairments did not meet the threshold to prevent his execution. But the legal wrangling didn't stop there. Another deeply unsettling aspect of Black's case revolved around a medical device implanted within him, an ICD, an implantable cardioverter defibrillator, along with a pacemaker. These devices, meant to regulate a failing heart, presented a terrifying question for the executioners. What would happen when lethal injection drugs met an internal defibrillator? Could it cause agonizing pain, prolong the process, or create a horrific spectacle? The legal fight to have this device deactivated before the execution was ultimately lost, leaving a chilling uncertainty about the manner of his death. The years in prison were not merely a waiting game for Byron Black. They were decades of appeals, of legal arguments, of hope flickering and fading. Each failed appeal, each denied motion, brought him closer to the inevitable conclusion. The outside world moved on, but within the confines of his cell, time seemed to stretch, measured only by the visits from his legal team, the sterile routine, and the ever-present shadow of his impending execution. And then, the day arrived, August 5th, 37 years after the lives of Angela, Latoya, and Lakeisha were stolen. Byron Black stood on the precipice of his own end. The execution chamber, a sterile, clinical space designed for the ultimate state-sanctioned act. Witnesses were present, both for the state and for the condemned. A somber assembly bearing witness to the final chapter. As the lethal injection protocol began, the air grew thick with an almost palpable tension. Witnesses would later describe Black's demeanor. He wasn't stoic. He was visibly suffering. His body, perhaps reacting to the cocktail of chemicals, or perhaps to the sheer terror of the moment, betrayed him. His voice, strained, broke the sterile silence with a plea that has echoed in the testimonies of those present. It hurt so much. His spiritual advisor was by his side, offering comfort, reciting prayers, a final anchor of human connection in the face of overwhelming finality. The ICD, the medical device that had been such a point of contention, remained within him, its potential role in his final moments, a grim, unanswerable question. The process, witnessed by those with a vested interest in its success, was described as agonizing, a slow, agonizing descent into the void. Byron Black's execution closed a chapter, but it did not, and perhaps never will, bring a true end to the story. For the family of Angela Clay, Latoya, and Lakeisha, the pain remains a constant, a wound that time has dulled, but never truly healed. Their statement after the execution was poignant and deeply human. We are reliving this all over again. The execution offered no solace, no sense of closure that could truly compensate for the void left by 3 stolen lives. The absence of an apology from Black, coupled with the lingering trauma, underscored the profound and lasting impact of his actions. Beyond the immediate family, Black's case became a focal point for larger societal discussions. It reignited, with renewed urgency, the contentious debate surrounding capital punishment in America. For those who opposed the death penalty, Black's case presented a clear example of a flawed system. The arguments regarding his intellectual disability brought the issue of executing individuals with diminished cognitive capacity to the forefront, highlighting the ethical and legal complexities. How do we define culpability when capacity is in question? Where is the line drawn between justice and inhumanity? And then there was the chilling detail of the ICTC, the legal battles over whether this internal medical device should be deactivated before the execution brought a new, unsettling dimension to the discussion of lethal injection. It raised profound questions about the role of technology in the state's power over life and death, and the potential for unforeseen suffering within the protocol itself. Could a machine designed to save a life inadvertently contribute to its agonizing end? Did Byron Black express any final thoughts that offered a glimpse into his inner world? While the plea of pain was undeniable, the deeper reflections, the profound remorse, or the justifications, if any, remained largely within the confines of what was said privately. The system focused on the execution, and the controversy surrounding its execution methods often overshadowed the potential for a deeper human reckoning. His life and his death serve as a stark reminder of the multifaceted nature of justice, the limits of our understanding of the human mind, and the enduring questions about our society's ultimate forms of punishment. Byron Black's story is a complex one, devoid of easy answers. It forces us to confront difficult truths about the nature of crime, the pursuit of justice, and the very definition of humanity. Was the execution just? Did the legal system adequately account for the complexities of intellectual disability? And what does the manner of his death say about our evolving understanding of punishment? These are not questions with simple right or wrong answers. They are invitations to contemplate, to consider the balance between retribution and rehabilitation, between the rights of the accused and the imperative to protect society, to reflect on whether a system that imposes the death penalty can ever truly be free from the risk of inflicting further suffering, whether physical or moral. What are your thoughts on this case? Did the legal system serve justice, or did it fall short? Share your perspectives in the comments below. Let's engage in a respectful dialogue about these profound issues. Your insights are invaluable. If this exploration has resonated with you, if it has given you pause for thought, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more in-depth explorations of true crime and its societal impact. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the shadowed corners of justice. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed,